It's me, your host and realtor, Charisse Callender Scott with Desiree Callender and Associates Realtors, here to talk it through with you. On this month's episode, we are doing a flashback. That's right, Flashback Thursdays are in full effect. And here she is. Before we can even get started, Saria is already in the place and she's joined by her brother, Trey. This is what happens when I record this show after hours.
I did this.
They take completely over. So anyway, we are about 5 episodes in and wanted to just take some time to flashback and reflect on some of our best ofs from Talking Through Thursdays. Really enjoyed sharing with you and talking through with you guys, and hope you've enjoyed it as well. And just take notes, take tips, and remember, we're always here for you, whether we're talking it through or not. All right, so stay tuned.
Bye. Bye.
So it's good to see you again.
Same here. So
And I'm glad that you could join us for our first episode of Talking It Through Thursdays.
oh yay! I like that.
So you know, our biggest thing with you coming on, representing Fiscal Pink, is helping our clients to become fiscally fit for home ownership.
There you go. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, and so we're excited to have you on today and to hear what you have to say. Right?
I am honored to be invited. So thank you.
And you have also been featured on our most recent episode of our Industry Insider Insights. So people may already know who you are from that. But if you don't mind, just give us a quick introduction of who you are and what you do and why we need to listen to you.
Oh, sure. So I'm Sharon Lewis, and I've been in the financial services industry for about 20 years, teaching families about basic money concepts. And on the day-to-day, I am a financial advisor helping families plan and save for their future and also get out of debt. And one of my recent but not so recent pet projects is that I am a author, and I published children's book teaching kids about money, because I realized as I was out there pounding the pavement, because that's what I call it, as I was out there pounding the pavement, there's such a connect between folks understanding money as adults, and I realized that we really should teach money concepts to our children, because then that way we learn without realizing we're learning. And that's from my personal experience as well as from others that I've witnessed along the way.
As a mom myself, when my children are learning, I'm learning with them. Just
I know,
when I'm learning, they're learning
now.
with me. So.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah. So one of the biggest questions I think we want to be able to address today in terms of helping people to become fiscally fit is, how much money do I need to buy a home? I always hear that question. People come to us at all different stages of the process, right? Some already have a letter from their lender and they're like, I just need to find the house. And others are like, I think I need to move. What do I need to do?
Right.
But regardless of the stage that they're in, it still always kind of comes down to their finance. And so we generally encourage our buyers and even our sellers to review what their financial outlook looks like to determine what their goals truly are in terms of home ownership, whether they're buying to live in or buying as an investment property or selling because they want to be able to do some other things. So
Exactly.
Can we just start by talking to us a little bit about, what does it mean to have savings?
Oh, savings, I would say, is any type of money you have over and above after you've completed all of your spending, it's that extra set of money that we have set aside. And basically, there are three pockets or categories, I would say, that you have for saving. You have what's called an emergency fund, where you would have at least 3 to 6 months of your expenses, or even, I would even say income or expenses, whichever is greater, because sometimes our expenses are way higher than our income.
That's
So,
fact.
so 3 to 6 months of your expenses set aside for those rainy days. Maybe you didn't anticipate having to fix your car, or you lose a job, or something to that effect. The emergency fund is more short term. The next category is an account that you will have for goals that you have more for 3 to 5 years out, right?
Okay.
And for people who are saving for a home, it takes them a while to build up that money, at least in the situations that I've seen. So sometimes you're saving for at least 2, 3 years or more to build up that amount. So if you have an account, in an account where we call a short-term account, where you're putting money into, it can be an investment account as well, but your goal is not to really access that money until 3 to 5 years out. So that's what we call your short-term in-between account. That's for everything between retirement and after your emergency fund. That's that middle account. And then your final account is your wealth building account, which is your retirement account. That's the account that you're using more for money that you need to access for your future self, your retired self. And so most likely that is money that's going to sit into the account for 20 years and more, growing to build wealth for you.
I'm happy to have you on today, this episode of Talk It Through Thursdays. The legendary Shervin Joseph. We're so honored to have you.
Well, I thank you for that, and I appreciate being here, and I appreciate being invited.
Absolutely. So for those who don't know and haven't had the pleasure, which there shouldn't be that many, but I'm sure there's some new
I'm sure there are
to the
people.
market.
Right,
Tell us
right.
a little bit about you and what you do.
I'm a mortgage banker with Fitzgerald Financial, which is a division of Town Bank Mortgage. We're one of the largest lenders on the East Coast, New York Stock Exchange, over a couple billion in assets. And we have quite the market share around the Beltway on mortgages. I've been in the business about 35 years, approaching 35 years. I've held every position imaginable in management, producing manager, area manager, division manager, branch manager, but most important, true to my heart, I'm a loan officer and mortgage banker, which is what I am currently and enjoy. And so I've had the pleasure of working around Prince George's County, D.C., and Virginia for the last 35 years, and I wouldn't change anything about it.
So let's talk about that, getting people where they're trying to go in today's market. It's crazy out here. Things are changing every day. And, people are like, oh, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? It's like, well, it's kind of both, depending on what you're trying to achieve right now.
Well, you know what, in our world, and particularly around the Beltway, and focusing on what's going on around the Beltway, sellers, as you know, are having a time right now. It's great for them. And buyers have to get after it because rates are so low. So let's talk about post-COVID-19, because that's where we are. Once COVID-19 came on the scene, like everything else in our daily lives, it changed the game. It changed how we originated. It changed how we do business. It changed everything. The markets, for the most part, rates are at historic lows. And you hear that jargon pretty much every 4 or 5 years. They're truly at historic lows right now. And so the market was in such a tailspin initially once COVID-19 hit the scene because of layoffs, because of forbearances, because of foreclosures, because of everything that the economy had to undertake. At one point, you had 38 million people were filing for unemployment. And now we're still not out of the woods.
We heard last year that there was going to be some new criteria in terms of how lenders were factoring those scores. So the difference between someone pulling their credit score up on a Credit Karma, right, versus you guys pull their credit and what issues on their credit are really factoring into what their credit score is. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, you know, and one of the things we focus so much on telling folks, look at your credit report, check your credit constantly. So a lot of people sign up with consumer models, Credit Karma, the individual reporting agencies. However, when you go into a lender, the lender's pulling 3 reporting agencies and all 3 together, and it's a lot more in depth. So with Credit Karma, and nothing against Credit Karma, nothing against any of these reporting agencies, their scores are a little bit more inflated to the consumer situation, credit cards and so forth, not to mortgage lending. So when we pull a mortgage report that constitutes of 3 reporting agencies, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, we take the middle score, which is the FICO score, and there's usually a variance, on the lower end from what you would have on a Credit Karma or one of these models that they might have with their credit card agency. A lot of credit cards now employ a model that when you look at your statement, you could see, hey, your FICO score will be, no, your credit score will be this. It's not necessarily what a mortgage banker is looking at when it's time to pull your credit report for a mortgage.
That's helpful because people also are looking, I know a lot of people who are trying to self-correct, right?
Right.
You know, they're thinking,
which
hey,
is great in one end, but disastrous in another.
Exactly.
You don't self-correct when you have something seriously wrong medically. Why are you going to self-correct when you're dealing with your economic life? You need to find out from the experts, and the best thing that anyone can do is come in to see the lender and get pre-qualified. Your realtor is going to refer you to who they trust, and that person's going to pull your report and assess where you are. And if they're candid, they're going to tell you, yes, you qualify for this, this, and this. But it's better to know. And if you don't qualify, then they should be able to put you on a path to qualifying and a timeline of when that should be expected if your FICO scores are reasonable.
Yep. So I do always suggest when I hear people say, hey, yeah, I'm pulling my credit report, I'm going to try to, you know, pay this down and pay that down, because we've had that experience before where people could be paying something that's not relevant to what it is that you're looking for.
Sure.
So the practice of getting them over to you to just do that's why I say first line of defense. Oh, you want to buy a home? Let me introduce you to someone who can really kind of look at the criteria with you and determine what you can and can't do. And don't be afraid of them telling you that you can do something.
And there you just said a mouthful, fear. That is, whether they're first-time home buyer or even if they're moving up, people are still fearful of purchasing a home for the most part. First-time home buyers, you would think that they would be excited, the enthusiasm is there and so forth, but they're fearful of what they might hear, the unknown. Is the lender going to ask me? You know, there's some horror stories there. Our job is to make it go as seamless as possible. Absolutely. Seamless, meaning that you should be able to have a couple of conversations, know where you stand, know where you're going, and in 3 weeks, well, depending on who you are with, my team, it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you should be in your house.
And the people are shocked by that too. They're like, what? They sometimes don't even realize. I think they have this expectation that you're supposed to be in the market for a year looking for a home. And I always say, yeah, that's if you go in there not prepared. If you haven't taken the time up front to talk to the lender, to understand where you are in the process and where you can be. And, this episode, we're calling it finessing your financing, right?
Oh, very nice.
Because
very nice.
that's what it comes down to,
No, but it does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It does come down to that. And I think if people that are listening pay very close attention, they should immediately call you and say, hey, I want to get pre-qual. I want to see where I am. Even if you're not looking to buy until September, October. Mm-hmm. And with that point, a number of people I have noticed that call me or come in and say, hey, I'm not looking until 6 months from now. Why? Rates are great now. Let's see where you are. And you'll see that they're prepared to go. Get past that fear, and you could be closing in a month or 2 months and take advantage of these low rates. You can't assume and get complacent that rates are going to be the same next year. And that's where people get lulled to sleep. It takes 5 minutes for the markets to go tailspin and go south, and we're all pulling our hair out, and all of a sudden people calling, hey, I hear I could get 3%. That was last week, or that was 2 weeks ago. The market is now in a different place. So you have to seize the moment. You have to take advantage of the market.
You guys are both new home buyers in the year 2020, if you can imagine that. And so I'll let you guys start by just maybe introduce yourself a little bit. Kevin, since you were the first home buyer in this year in March, just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you moved from, where you moved to, and your family makeup.
Yeah, sure. So again, my name is Kevin Creppy. My wife, Tavia, and I, we have 3 kids. So, we were in the renting apartment, that whole conundrum, which, as well, now that we are homeowners, owning has definitely been the better financial decision, long-term decision, especially when you think about the amount of money that I always call it throwing it down the drain, because it's going into somebody else's pocket every month, and there's no stability there. So, prior to connecting with Charisse, I was with another realtor, and I had what you would, I guess, describe as a nightmare home buying process, from the realtor not being experienced, the loan officer not being open and transparent. So, we kind of just like washed our hands with those 2 people and started from scratch, which, it was a bit of a frustrating, because we had reached a part where we were under contract and getting ready to close. And then thank God everything just fell through the crack, which, it saved us from going into a nightmare situation, which would have been a huge like fixer upper, which right now that's not what we needed with our family and the small kids, So like I said, Charisse has been a godsend. I always refer to her as our angel, because, her mom actually help my parents get into their house also. So it's kind of been this whole, Callender Scott Creppy relationship that, has been successful so far. So if the wheel's not broke, don't fix it. So.
All right. Well, thank you for that introduction, Kevin. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And Harvey, Antonia, do you want to share a little bit?
This is me and my wife, and we have a 1-year-old daughter named Zoe. She was born last year, and we've been
Thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Yeah, and we've had a great experience with Charisse. Before her, we've been in the renting apartment phase, and we've lived with my parents' phase, and kind of all those different phases, as most people do, due to situations and we're just glad we were able to find a home. You know, the coronavirus kind of put a wrinkle in a lot of different things in terms of, you know, like finding the, you know, the loan officers and the realtors and being able to view houses, that kind of thing. So it was very stressful. But yeah, we really enjoyed the process. Charisse, she's been great. And just like you, it's funny you said that because her mother actually helped my parents find their home as well, and some of my parents' friends as well. So she came highly recommended, and we like that kind of in the family feel. And it doesn't, I mean, it's not that big a deal. And, you know, you can pick who you want, but we did like having a Black realtor as well. I mean, that's not all the end all be all, but that kind of was very nice as well. So.
No, I can agree to that because again, I'm always about, you know, familiarity and, you know, go with what you know. So when, you know, some of these realtors, they may come along and act like they care, but really don't actually have your best interest at heart. So
Yeah,
I get it.
All right, well, any like, you know, final thoughts or words of encouragement or anything that you all want to share with the audience before we kind of sign off here?
Just be patient. Don't think that it's always going to go one way because it can go in many different directions, and be open-minded. Don't get too stressed out because it is a stressful process, and you know, everything will work out when it's supposed to. Don't try to rush it either.
right. And from
You
my
said,
perspective, just to make sure that just do it, well, when you're looking to buy a home, just try to do as much research as you can, you know, communicate with, you know, your realtor, loan officer, just stay in communication. So that way, when stuff pops up, you're not shocked. You know, you can try to, I'm not saying you have to be experts, but you know that HOA fees are there and taxes are here and different things that affect different things, but also,
Sorry. Go ahead,
oh,
Brenda.
hold on one second.
She turned on the TV. I'm sorry.
oh,
It's
that's
okay.
fine.
This is real life.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're on the phone talking about, yes, and the loan officer said this. Oh, is that the baby crying? Okay, yeah. I mean, it's real. Like,
But yeah, and then the last thing, just make sure that you have a realtor that you feel comfortable with. I don't even know if we ever told Charisse that, but we did have a realtor before her. We just never brought it up just because we didn't want it to, you know, whatever. But it didn't end well. It wasn't the right person for us. Didn't seem like he really cared. And this, and that, which is why we switched. But just make sure you have a realtor that you feel comfortable with, you can communicate with, that you don't feel like it's pressuring you, and that it has the line of communications open with you, you know, and just is very transparent, and, you know, just just make sure you have a good realtor, bottom line.
I think from my standpoint is kind of what I've been telling my friends since we got our house. You know, one, like you all said, make sure you have a great realtor, somebody who has your best interest at heart. Have a good loan officer, somebody who's transparent and will keep it real, not just sell you. I always say sell you dreams, you know, like, oh yeah, you can afford this $500,000 house when really you should be looking at like three to 250 to 300,000, you know, realistically, you know. So that was just my biggest thing is just, you know, find people who keep it real. Don't find anybody who's just going to tell you what you want to hear to get your hopes up to get, you know, so you get let down. Yeah, you know, and just be prepared. You know, you have to be prepared. You know, have some money put away. You know, you should at least start saving up. Don't wait until you start looking for your house to start saving. Like, save up at least, you know, I'd say a year, 2 years, however long you need, you know, to have at least, you know, I always say, well, I was told at least have like 10, you know, at least minimum 10 or 5 to 10, whatever you're able to afford, you know, have it put aside. And, you know, if you have family who's able to help, reach out. Don't be afraid to say, hey, look, I need help. Whatever you need to do to get into your house, do it. You know, that's legal. Let me rephrase that. Okay. Whatever legally you need to do to get into your house, do that. Okay. Because once you have it, that's yours. And that's, you know, again, that's your legacy. That's equity. That's a tax write-off. You know, it's an umbrella for you. So there's so many benefits, and at the end, and you're putting money back into your pocket, not somebody else's. So, you know, you can do it. I did it. We all did it. So, you know, do not fear, just pray, and everything will work its way out.
Action.
I think we're gonna have a great conversation today. We're talking new homes and new construction with Miss Delinda Armstrong of Dan Ryan Builders. Welcome, Delinda.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, this is our new home, new construction episode of Talking Through Thursday. So let's start by having you introduce yourself to the audience today.
Well, my name is Delinda K. Armstrong. I am a sales consultant for Dan Ryan Builders, DC Metro Division, and I've been with them over 2 years.
Very nice. And tell us what your background is in real estate. Some people might say, oh, new home builder, sales consultant. How did you get to that point?
Well, I have a very comprehensive background in real estate. I've been in the industry in some form or another for over 22 years. So I am a certified property manager. I'm a licensed real estate agent. And I've been selling new homes for over 9 years or so, 9 years plus, maybe more than 10 years when you add it all together. I started in residential real estate, leasing property, then managing property. I had a stint in commercial real estate. And just to make a long story short, I think the only thing that I have not managed is a hospital, literally. Everything else, I probably managed it or sold it.
Let's talk about COVID-19 and let's talk about how it's impacted the new construction home market. What have you seen?
Well, it has impacted the industry dramatically. Some in some unexpected ways, I would say. So the first is, as you know, everything now is by appointment only. Initially, we didn't stop working. So I've been working since the pandemic happened, since the outbreak or what have you. And initially, from no mask to being by appointment only. So right now, I think the biggest adjustment for clients and customers is that you do need to call, make an appointment, and get on the salesperson's calendar to come in and tour. And we might have discussed this before, but what I was saying is that actually I like this format. It's very useful. I think the appointment is a higher quality appointment because before, when you would just walk in, the salesperson maybe be engaged with someone else and you'd have to wait your turn, wait around, or maybe not get a chance to talk to them at all. But at least with this format, you have an appointment. You should have the model to yourself, be able to tour, ask questions, maybe run numbers in the end, and walk out with information to make a decision. So I think it's a much better system now with the by appointment only.
Our traditional market has moved to that model as well. There used to be what we call overlapping appointments. When you call to schedule an appointment, you might have multiple realtors in there showing a home to a family at the same time. But now what happens is the homes end up getting booked out like weeks in advance because you can only schedule in 30 to 45-minute blocks, and that's it. So, I mean, it's definitely nice to have the house to yourself, but it makes it very difficult for your realtor to schedule an appointment. There's no more like same day scheduling unless the property is just not a hot property. So that's interesting, the dynamics between the resale and new construction and how that appointment only is impacting the market right
now. It's COVID has forced the adjustment. Now we have to do a little bit more planning. We just have to be a little bit more patient, and if it's worth it, then, just make the appointment. I do tell people I'm usually booked by Wednesday for the weekend, So as long as, if you try not to make like the last minute appointments, let's say it like that, the last minute appointments are what's going to be the difficult ones.
Absolutely. So talk to us about the numbers, the volume. Are you seeing more people looking for new construction now as a result of kind of the pandemic and people wanting to get out of the city and move into the suburbs? What kind of has been your experience with that?
Yes, to answer your question, yes, we've seen record numbers of buyers in the market, and we've had record numbers of sales between June, July, and August. I would say across the industry, across builders, just the buying is similar to what we saw in the housing boom back in the early 2000s. But again, it's a different climate. Buyers are buying for a different reason, and they're, I think, in a better position, even though it's very competitive out there. So yes, we're seeing a lot more folks in the market, and that I think is due to there being fewer resale homes on the market right now. And also this change in lifestyle and the way that people are working, now not having to go into an office. Maybe we're seeing a lot of folks that were renting. We're seeing a lot of renters move out of the rental market into buying a new home because they don't have enough space. If they're going to be working from home, you know, that little kitchen counter or whatever isn't quite enough. They want to study. They want more space if they're going to be there 24/7. So we've seen a lot of that. Also, I think with less inventory on the market in the resale market, that's made new home sales more attractive. So yes.
Well, that's how we met. Right? That's
Mm-hmm.
how we met. I'm working with, you know, actually it was a handful of buyers at the time that I've been we've shopped in the resale market, not finding what they wanted or being outbid because we're, you know, facing a circumstance where, like you said, it's scarce.
Mm-hmm.
Or the homes that are in the best conditions comparable to a new home are having people bid 20 and 30,000 above list. Like nobody really comes to the table prepared to pay that much more above what they're shopping for. But that is the dynamic of the market. So that actually led us to the new construction market. It's like, well, if I'm going to pay 20,000 more for something resale and it's going to put me in this price point, then I could be looking at something new.
Right, right. And I think it's been a great opportunity for new home sales, the new home sales industry, because of the low inventory in the resale market. The only thing that it forces, though, is just if you're able to adjust your timeline. All of our quick move-in inventory went very fast because of that, because people may have gotten tired of being outbid in the resale market. So they take a look at new construction. So our quick move-in inventory is very low, but there's an opportunity there. Then if your timeline is flexible at all, new home construction is a great option to buy new, to build and choose your options to get what you want, and as opposed to moving into a home that's already predetermined as far as color schemes and things like that. So
absolutely,
it's a great opportunity for us.
So let's share the process a little bit. Let's give people some insight because, like you said, you can't just drive into a new construction community anymore and expect to be able to walk into the model. You have to set that appointment. And you have folks that may call on a sign, just like regular realtors. They may call on a sign and say, hey, I'm interested in this. Or they may be already working with a realtor where their realtor still kind of represents them, but they'll call and schedule the appointment. So take us through the general steps of buying a new construction home and that process once they get that appointment with you.
Okay, well, the process is going to be different for every builder, but generally it should be the same. You know, it shouldn't be too far off. But we at Dan Ryan Builders, after you've had a chance to make that appointment with us, you're going to tour the model with the salesperson, have a chance to maybe run numbers specific to the options that you're interested in to an extent, you know, the structural options. And then what happens is later you have a design center appointment that might increase that price a little bit down the line. But once you've determined that you found the home that you want to move forward on, you found the home site, you're then going to lock in that pricing and whatever incentive is going on by moving forward with your earnest money deposit and the contract. That's what locks in pricing. It locks in the incentive and it takes the home off of the market for you, okay? So I strongly recommend that once a person finds a home that they're very interested in, that they move forward on that, because things in the industry are changing very quickly and pricing can change, incentives can change just, you know, within an hour or a day of you viewing a property. Mm-hmm. So that would be the first step. Write the contract, submit the earnest money deposit. Once you do that, that starts the new home process. And as opposed to resale, what that means is that you're going to go through a process that could be anywhere from 6 to 8 months before you actually settle on the new home. So after you write the contract, you've taken that home off of the market, we're then going to prepare to build that home to your buyer specifications. So that means that you're going to have a design center appointment where you choose the color schemes, the flooring, the cabinets, countertops of the home. After that, you'll have a pre-construction meeting. At the pre-construction meeting, that's generally when you meet the project manager, go over all of the structural and interior options that you've selected. At that time, you're going to want to make sure that everything that you've selected is in their build package. That's usually the last opportunity to catch any big changes that need to be made, okay? So after that, and usually during that meeting, your project manager is going to tell you when they're planning to start the new home. Once they start the home, all the trades go through, you're driving by, taking pictures, you see the house go up in framing, all of that good stuff. So then there's a pre-drywall meeting. You get a pre-drywall walkthrough where you're able to see everything before the walls are closed in. That meeting is important in that if you are adding a lot of additional electrical, HDMI pre-wires, or anything that's going to go behind your walls, you want to make sure that those things are there and in the place that you want them before the walls are closed in. So at that meeting, I tell people it's time to start preparing to move, because usually you're 30 to 60 days, 45 to 60 days from closing, okay? And then your next meetings are your pre-settlement demonstration where they're telling you how to take care of your home, and then you go to closing where you actually get your keys. So that's just an overview of a very detailed process.
So welcome to Talk It Through Thursday. We are all about home warranty today, and we are introducing you, Miss Anna Coleman, as our expert of the afternoon and the month for home warranty. So
Thank you.
introduce yourself to the good people.
I'm Anna Coleman. I have been with First American for 4.5 years. I am a licensed property and casualty insurance agent as well in the state of Maryland for 30 years, and have supported the real estate transaction for 19, well, actually 20 at this point. So definitely familiar with real estate and what you do for a living and supporting your clients. But I'm also married to a realtor. So it's just kind of full circle.
Great.
Yeah, I'm a mom of 3 and a wife of a realtor, as I said. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
So you got the whole gamut. You see both sides of things.
I definitely, I am very appreciative that I get to see the full picture.
Well, one of the things that I'm really excited to kind of get people engaged with today is to understand the benefit of a home warranty and how it's not just for, a home buyer, which is how we met. Actually, I was like, hey, I want to gift these home warranties, to our clients. What kind of packages do you have? So why don't we start by just sharing with people what a home warranty is, what the benefit of it is, and how it's useful for anybody.
Sure. So yeah, I definitely agree. As you stated, a home warranty is part of your real estate transaction for a seller and or a buyer. But it's for the homeowner as well, who is already in their house, has already maybe experienced a couple major systems failing, or has not experienced that yet, but are concerned financially, how will they pay for that? So that's really what a home warranty does. It provides peace of mind and budget protection. And I like to say it closes the insurance gap. So it bookends the homeowner's insurance because they will fix, the homeowner's insurance protects the homeowner for damage to their property and their structure, as well as their personal property. Let's say if a system fails, I'll use a hot water heater as an example, but it never fixes the broken system or the failed system. So that's what we do. That's what a home warranty does, is it will help make those repairs.
That's a really good differential, because I can see people saying, well, I have home insurance. Why do I need a home warranty too?
Right.
So talk to us also about maybe how it works in landlord and tenant world. There's a lot of rentals nowadays, and people sometimes have a property manager, sometimes don't. So how can a home warranty maybe benefit someone in that situation?
We actually, First American, we do have an exclusive property management product. So if you're working with a property manager, they can actually, they have access to our property management home warranty that will be a benefit to them and to their landlords for the ease of doing business. But if they're, a first-time investor or have a few properties, yes, they can they can get a home warranty on their rental property. It really does make it easier for them. I don't know if they're trying to manage it themselves, but we have a network of contractors. So if there is a problem, the claim is filed, and then we will assign a contractor who is licensed, bonded, and insured, which is great, right? So it takes that convenience. It gives them the convenience factor of not having to look for a contractor. We'll do that. And then we kind of manage through that process. So another tool for a landlord to protect their property, but also they have a renter in there who needs a system fixed. So, that's another tool that they can use in the, with owning a property. So we can put them on rentals as well.
That's super, super, super beneficial. Now, talk to people about how it works, because I've had clients who we've gifted the home warranty and they're so thankful for it, but that service fee kind of throws them off. So let's talk a little bit about the service fee and how maybe you can see how it almost kind of pays itself forward, even though it's a small amount for maybe a big repair.
Sure. So it's just, kind of a homeowner's insurance. You have a deductible. It's called a deductible in the homeowner's insurance world, but we call it a service fee, and that our service fee is $100, and that is per trade. So we are a company that if, let's say, a new homeowner or even an existing homeowner, starts using systems and they see that they're having trouble with plumbing. I like to use this as an example. They have, the drain is slow upstairs, and then the toilet's not flushing, and then they actually have a leak under the sink. So you've got 3 different problems in the same trade. So we allow up to 4 failures under the same trade for the small fee of $100. So that's the initial, typically the $100 service fee will take care of most. However, there are some claims, hot water heater, air conditioning, and your furnace. There may be some additional out-of-pocket expenses. We call them a non-covered cost. So essentially the warranty covers the parts and the labor. And then, I always recommend, it's called our Eagle Premier. It's our most comprehensive plan. It adds additional protection for failure due to improper installation, which is really important. We see that a lot because the warranty really covers your clients or the consumer for failure due to normal wear and tear. End of life, it breaks, nobody can predict when something will fail.
Right.
But this adds back that failure due to improper installation. It also pays for like disposal and haul away and reclaiming refrigerant, a lot of extras that will be added to that claim. So we offset the majority of the cost for those 3 systems I mentioned, again, the air conditioning, the furnace, and the hot water heater. But we automatically replace with a 14 SEER. It's a government standard for energy efficiency, so that's the minimum standard. And a lot of times we're dealing with old systems that aren't energy efficient, right? So in order for us to install that new unit, there are some modifications that have to take place to install the new unit. So we pay for the labor and the equipment, and then pick up some of those additional costs in that first class upgrade, but non-covered costs or modifications to install the new unit. So again, in those 3 systems, I always say it offsets the majority of your cost.
Right.
It's not going to cover everything on that, but we'll replace them. We do take care of the majority.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Talk It Through Thursday.
My pleasure.
Talking about home warranties and the importance of having them and having them at any aspect of your home ownership journey. Any last words or anything you want to share before we part?
I think that when a consumer is looking at or comparing, just again, compare apples to apples, and price isn't everything, because, there are companies out there that their cost is a lot higher and coverage is a lot less. So look at your caps or limitations, and it's called limits of liability. And that way, what to expect in the claims process. And I'm always available to answer any questions that you have.
All right, Anna. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's face it, the road to home ownership, it's not one you'll want to travel alone. The knowledge and experience you're looking for, whether you're buying, selling, or renting, it's not all available online. With professionals like D.C.A. Realtors behind you, we'll strategize and help map out your best route to ensure your goal of just sold. Serving you is our #1 priority. With 40 years in the business, experience really does make the difference. Subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel and visit us online at DCARealtors.com. Stay connected and let us be your go-to resource for all your real estate needs. We're here for you.